It's that time of the week where we are joined by Ashley Moran of Acadiana Planning Commission to usually talk traffic, but today we're actually going to talk about something that's a little more close to home to a lot of people, 911, and when not, I guess you should call 911.
So actually, like under our safety coalition that Ron Chakowski manages, emergency response is one of our 5 E's of safety. So we do encourage people to go out there and research how to respond in emergencies. And one of the biggest things we kind of found out when talking to people and talking to police departments, because Ron already knew this because he worked for the police department when they set it up, but I had no idea, and I only found this out recently, is that they want people, for a lot of police, just any kind of situation where you need a first responder, for fire department, if you see a suspicious person, if you're in a weird situation where, for instance, for me in my building, somebody pushed past me to kind of break in after hours, and I didn't know what to do, so I tried calling the police non-emergency number, and they basically called 911. I'm like, really? I was I thought you just called 911. It was very strict to call 911 only if your arm had fallen off or you're an immediate threat from, passing away. And they were like, no, we really want people to call. We have a huge fortified emergency response center. They have this huge number of dispatchers ready. I mean, they don't want you to call for frivolous, things like that. If you see some sort of situation.
The neighbor's dog is barking too loud.
Yeah, for that. But a lot of it, they want to track it. So they told me that they really for tracking it. They'll take it. They can figure out based on your location where you're at to route you to the appropriate person. If you need the fire department, if you need the sheriff's office, if you need Karen Crow Police Department. They can tell which agency that you need, and through this centralized 911 center, they can track it. So we've had situations where we had some kind of people in our building that probably needed to leave, because I work downtown and we have a lot of people traveling in and out, and they've said, no, just don't call the police officer on duty, call 911. They'll make that decision about who to dispatch it to, the appropriate person to respond to. So that really surprised me, and I just feel especially if you're around my age, around 40, you've been kind of socialized, like I said, just to only call for an extreme emergency. But they really do want people to call for these things. Even if you can't stick around, the officer will call you back. When I had the person break in my building, I couldn't stick around. I had to go pick up my daughter from school. They said, no, we wanted to get it on the record. Call 911, the officer would call you back. You'd make a record that this happened. This is what the response was, because I couldn't get the, because their offices had closed, and I couldn't get anyone from the police precinct that's in the building.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, so I was nobody knows this. It's everyone needs to know this.
Right. So when you are in these situations, is it just good to assume that the first thing you should do is call 911?
Yes,
just
definitely.
Right off the bat?
Any kind of situation where there's if you can't get in touch with anyone at the police department, and they'll say that if you call their number and you can't, if no one picks up, they'll say call 911, and it's okay. It's okay to call you. They said they had enough staff that they could handle it, even if you aren't in an imminent threat, to call it, so they can put it on the record that this incident happened. This is what the response was. This is how we handled it.
Okay, well that is some valuable information, because you are preconditioned to just be no, unless you're in that immediate danger, don't call 911, wait, try to figure out another way.
And if you see someone driving erratically on the road, please call 911. Honestly, we had so many crashes that were prevented from someone letting people know there was an impaired driver or somebody and even you're not bothering anyone. This is what their job is.
And also, what if you have a vehicle that's spilling trash? One time I had
definitely. That can cause a major crash.
So that would be another example.
Yeah, and if you call 911, they'll route you to the appropriate person. You're, like I said, you're not bothering anyone. You're letting people know of a condition that could cause a serious
And then
issue.
That way we can get that and
they'll dispatch a police officer. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And they'll pull them over and ticket them.
Well, that's very helpful. Thank you so much, Ashley. We appreciate you coming on and discussing that. I think a lot of folks will kind of take that into consideration the next time, especially on the roadways, like you said. But next week we'll have another chat with you and talk about some more traffic-related talk. But in the meantime, we have to talk